Oh,
Evelyn, how's it
hey, how's
going?
it? Good, good. I've been
Awesome to
looking
meet
forward to
you.
this. I
Yeah,
know.
it's been yeah.
Yeah.
So I've seen you around. I've seen you in the Zoom. You're very
Yep.
vocal. Yep,
Yeah. Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
avoid it.
I can't avoid it. I thought I was one of those people though who thought she was an introvert, like the classic, like this person's super extroverted, will not shut up. Like that was me for
What?
years. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow,
Yeah.
crazy. All right.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
but you're not an introvert.
No.
No. Turns out, yeah.
Yeah. Turns
You're
out I'm a double activated, double extrovert. Yes.
oh, double. Yeah. Okay. Wow. Yeah, I didn't even look
Yeah.
at your animals yet. Play,
Yeah.
consume, blast. Yes. Wow.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. So we'll talk about that. So your lead
Hmm.
NE above TE?
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
think because it comes down to me being an observer double decider,
Right.
So
And you see that
so
happening?
I do, so before I got typed, like yeah. So, everybody does that thing where you try to figure out like what's my type and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I had been like way back in high school, I had been typed by the Myers-Briggs, like the official like instrument as an INTJ. And I just was like, okay. And I just like moved
Okay.
on with my
Well,
life.
it's not so far away, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, so that was my official type. And then like a year ago I was just taking like 16 personalities or one of those,
Right.
and it typed me as an ESTJ. And that's where I was like, that doesn't seem right at all. Like, it was the
Right.
whole EJ thing and like finding Dave's videos, and I was like, I don't relate to being an EJ. And
Right.
that's when I started to think like, I think I'm an observer. Like when he started talking about observer versus decider and stuff, I was like, yeah, I'm definitely more on that observer side of things and not as much on the single decider. So that's
Yeah.
why it's any over T, I think.
And you have like the play consume as well. That's super observer. That's yeah.
Yes, yes, taking in new information
And you
from the
see that happening?
tribe, from self. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. Do you have like an
Yeah.
example of how that sort of would play out?
Like, so it's interesting because I have any, and so like initially, again, before I got my type, like after I submitted my video, I would watch it and like try to type myself.
Right.
And I would have typed myself as consume last because I thought, oh, I skim things, like I don't read, like I did not think I was savior consume at all, like by
Right.
any stretch. But what I am constantly doing is constantly trying to learn new things. So
Okay.
it's like not just like interests, but also ideas. And I think the way that any kind of shows up as, savior gather, because I don't want to narrow stuff down. I'm always like, well, but there's always these more possibilities out there. Like I'm never like and done. I'm always like,
Oh.
what else is beyond the reef or like beyond the mountain kind of thing, like that classic observer gather temperament. Yeah.
So you have no problem getting started with something new? No problem
Well,
jumping in?
well, I am Demon Blast,
Right.
so I kind of do like I'm comfortable like getting in with the tribe in sort of like this kind of thing. Like I'm comfortable
Oh,
kind of
okay.
jumping in and talking to you or talking to my group at work or, like a Q&A type back and forth between me and the tribe. Like I think of
Right.
play a lot as like throw the ball to you, you throw it back to me. Like that I'm cool with. I can just jump right in.
Right,
But
right.
when it's like I have to start a new project or like I need to organize my known information to then get started, that's where I do get in that sort of like play consume
I
loop.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Right. Getting something
Yeah.
new started. But like, okay, so
Yeah.
what about brainstorming sessions and things like that? Is that the same kind of thing or?
I think brainstorming kind of is more in that play consume
Yeah.
environment. Especially if it's something I'm interested in. Like
Right.
especially if it's a topic that and I'm interested in like a ton of stuff, so that's like not hard. so like my play and my consume can totally jump in like a workshop. Like I love workshops. I love a good
Right.
workshop. Classes, like that's like my jam. That's what I love.
Okay. And so
Yeah.
then so when you start that kind of thing, it's hard for you to narrow down afterwards once you start the brainstorm.
Absolutely.
You just more
Yes.
ideas, more ideas.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
why narrow
Yeah.
down it? We might not have even gotten the right idea, sort of thing. Let's think of
Yeah.
another one. Yeah.
Let's think of another one.
Right.
And then also like what I see show up at work with this, like I said, like I love workshops, right? So we'll like
Right.
actually
We
just
didn't
like
even mention you were aerospace engineer,
yeah,
aeronautical.
I'm an aeronautical. Yeah. Well, that's my background. I work
Right.
at Boeing. Well, I work in
Boeing. Yeah.
aerospace.
Yeah.
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 And so just like 6 months ago, my boss asked me to put together this workshop. And so like during the workshop, like I was all about it. And I also was like, yeah, I'll do it. Like I'll jump in and, you know, we had the workshop, the back and forth, but then it's like, okay, now what are we going to do? Like we got all these ideas. Now it's time to go like execute on these ideas.
Right.
And that's where I always slow down. Cause it's either like, oh, I got to check with the tribe more. Like, is the tribe good with this? Do I have all the information? And that's where my demon blast can show up. Definitely.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you're double masculine, which,
Yes.
how do you see that play out?
Yeah, it's the kinesthetic modality. It's kinesthetic audio.
Right.
And like for me, and I remember because I had emailed this to Shannon, even before I got my type, I have always been like a kinesthetic learner, like somebody who learns by doing. And like, you'll even see this, like, since this is video, you can see me, I'll be flailing.
Right.
Like I need to move, and I learn really well. And I learn really well by doing things, number one.
Yeah.
And my memory is like, and this is the way I see sort of masculine sensory and the whole memory thing, is my memory is kind of like encoded in my body, if you will. Like,
okay.
Like I'll go home to Cleveland and we'll be driving streets that like I haven't driven for years, for decades. And I'll be able to feel like, oh, I know we're going to turn left here, because like my body is like saying like, we're going to move, you know, that's how I see kinesthetic.
So then it groups of play, like you're describing it as it groups of play, and then it groups with your puzzling, and yeah,
it's all, they all kind of link up. Although my NE is feminine, so it's very movable. Yeah.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about your TE. How do you see it? How does it?
I think my TE is probably the thing that smacks most people in the face, like when they first meet me. Like I think masculine TE is like, oh, this girl's got masculine TE. Like it's the one that's not that surprising.
Right.
Although when I first got my types and people were asking me, like, did you know? Like I kind of knew I'd be TE. Like I told you, I was typed as INTJ, which has TE.
Yeah.
And ESTJ, which has TE. The way it shows up for me is like, you know, it's the banging the blocks together. Number one, like, always banging the blocks together to find out what works. And I'm very much like what works for the tribe or what works in the extroverted world, like the objective world. And I'm also like not married to any one thing. So like I'll try something. It's like, oh, that didn't work. Okay, toss, next thing. You know, like I'm not like, this works for me and only me. I'm very much like, hey, this worked for me. You could try that. Go ahead and try that. Oh, it didn't work for you. Okay, well, I heard about this other thing. So I feel like my NE and my TE play together with that.
So say something works for the whole tribe.
Yeah.
Would you want to go change it? Would you want to improve it? No,
I mean, I guess it would depend. That's a really good question. Yeah, I guess it would depend. I think if it was working great, it would depend on the context, I think.
Right.
But if it was working great, I think I would be like, yeah, you know, I mean, I'm always up for improvements, you know?
Okay.
But if things are working, I tend to not really actively change things.
Right. Okay.
Just to do it, you know, I don't just do things just to do them. Yeah.
Okay. Very interesting. Okay. So your FI, are you related to it? You said you're double observer. How does it help you? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, this is one of these areas where when I was hearing about EJs, I was like, I don't think I'm an EJ, partially because I'm pretty well aware of my FI. You know, I'm technically an ENFP jumper. And so FI is still my second function. Right. And I find that like, I'm very aware of what I FI value. And a lot of times, and I feel like this is something that maybe it would be cool if Dave and Shane would like talk about a little bit more about kind of the struggle of the double decider, where it's like my FI is like really strong. And so like, I'll know what I value, what I would want and what matters to me, but my TE is also really strong. Yeah. And so the two of those things sometimes are in tension, where I know I don't want to do a thing, but the tribe wants me to do it. So I'll be like, well, the tribe wants me to do it. So I'll feel this like sense of responsibility pulling me. I think more so than your average like ENFP standard type of person, you know? Yeah,
that's interesting. I think it's not only for double deciders either, because I feel the same thing, that the tribe wants me to do things and I'll do things because they want to do it, but it's my demon. So it'll be more in like a demon state.
It is, yeah, right. For me, it's more of a savior. Like I feel obligated. I feel obligated to the tribe.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you don't mind giving up on, giving
A
up
little
on
bit.
your feminine FI.
Yeah. And I think the big learning for me, because we can talk about my sleep last, like I think
Right.
the
Yeah.
big
Yeah.
learning for me has been to really connect with that FI,
Hmm.
um, you know, and try to strengthen that FI. Because I think what ends up happening, excuse me, is that like I'll have an idea of my FI, but it's not super clear. So I'll just defer to the tribe because it's like,
Right.
well, I know what the tribe needs. I know I can go execute for the tribe. But then my FI almost gets like left behind. But there's always like this hole of like, I know I'm not fulfilled in this.
Do
I
you
can
take the
feel
time
it.
sometimes to do things for you? Yeah.
Well, that's exactly. So like that's been like I was doing it. I was doing it before I got my type. Like I was taking that time.
Right.
Um, but now like having that sleep last is like an anchor. I'm much more conscious about it. Like I have like a daily, like I'm going to do some SIFI sleep time.
Right. Right.
Because before it was just like I was fitting it in with all my other obligations. And it's like, oh, where can I shove a little bit of Evelyn time in,
Right.
Whereas like now it's like, no, I'm going to like partition out and make sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. How do you see how do you see your energy levels throughout the day? Being a play first and sleep last.
Yeah, I can really relate to stuff Shannon. I mean, Shannon has demon sleep. Hers isn't last, but it's still like
Right.
that idea of like we have our energy in the morning and then we drop off. Like, that's me.
Yeah.
Like I'm up every day. I mean, every day, like even Saturdays and Sundays at like 5 a.m. I'm down here. I'm working out. I do a meditation. I work out. I kind of plan my day and I'm doing all this stuff. And then I have a cup of coffee and it's just like to the races, like working. But like 8 o'clock, I'm done. Like my energy
Gotcha.
levels drop. So I've kind of learned that. Like, I mean, I'm 35. Like I've
Yeah. Yeah.
learned
Yeah.
this is my pattern. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah. Yeah.
I front load my days and then I know that, the evening is when I'm just going to be chilling. Like that's my veg time to
Right.
just
And so
stop.
does your sleep get better at that time in the night? Like
Well, for me, because you're talking about OP sleep,
OP sleep.
not
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. I wanted to
yeah,
specify. Yeah.
not sleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think because it's a demon, it actually
Right.
takes me a bit of effort to do sleep.
Oh, wow.
To consciously do it.
Right.
So what I've been really working on lately is doing sleep. I call it my sleep before play practice, where I try to do just conscious sleep processing before I open myself up to the world and the tribe and start taking in from the tribe. Because my natural tendency, I always think of the animals as filters.
Right.
So my natural order is play, consume, blast, sleep. So sleep would be last. And so,
Right.
yeah, I think naturally I want to put it at the end of the day when I'm done, but then I literally will go to sleep.
Right.
Like
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll just get tired and
Yeah.
go to
Okay.
sleep. So what I've done is I've purposely put it in the front so that
Right.
it's
At the morning.
before my play. Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
do you experience it as going over your past memories and that kind of thing? Yeah.
Yeah, when I first got my type, I did a call with Shannon because like being sleep last was like totally unexpected. I had
Right.
unexpected for me
Right.
because I had told my husband about OP and he was like, well, whatever that sleep animal is, that one's last for you. Like, and I was like, no, I don't think so. I was like, I have such a deep inner world of processing though. And so like I
Yeah.
had emailed Shannon early on and she was like, looking at your video, I don't think you're sleep last. Cause I kind of don't come off that way, especially in my video. I'm very chill. Like,
Okay.
cause I do a lot of meditation. I've meditated for years and years.
And they were able to
Uh,
pick up on it.
they were, yeah.
Nice.
But so right after I got my call or got my type, I did a call with her and asked her about this. I said, hey, you had said that you didn't think I was sleep last. And she was like, yeah, it came down to like the math. Like I was one of those people that was kind of hard to type and they were literally just like following their checklist. And it's
Right.
just like sleep fell last. Like that's where it was.
And you think it's
And
accurate now?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
no,
Okay.
I do.
Okay.
And
Sorry.
well,
Continue.
yeah, well, so I specifically was asking her, well, two questions I have for her. One was lead any, because I was like, I wouldn't have guessed that.
Really? Okay.
So we can talk more about that. And then the
Yeah, we
second one
will.
was sleep. And so she and I had a really nice conversation about what SIFI sleep is, what that means, and how I can like practice with that. Like a lot of our conversation was like all about sleep. It was like a whole hour of sleep.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so for me, and so like, I've said this on the boards, but like all the sleep is going to be a little bit different, right? Like your sleep is going to be different from my sleep because we have different
Right. Yeah.
functions.
Yeah.
And so that SIFI sleep is very much going over your known, like what happened. For me, it's like what happened, how I felt about it, what happened. Like
Right.
it seems like really stupid when you think about it. 'Cause you're like, really? You're just, and it's like, no, absolutely. Like my homework when I first got my type was for 21 days. I had to sit down in a journal and literally write down like SI wise, like bullet point wise, like this happened to me. I felt this way. This happened to me. I felt this
Oh,
way.
wow.
So I did it, I did that. And I used to do it in the evening, like you were asking, because that's kind of naturally where I would do
Right.
it.
Yeah.
But I found that like I would get lazy, unmotivated. I was like, I don't want to do it today, that kind of thing. And so what I've been doing lately is I put it in the beginning of the day. And that's what I do is I do just
Nice.
like, this is what happened to me yesterday. This is how I felt about it. And it's funny because I talked to my, like, Versavia, she and I are doing a podcast together. And
Right. Yeah. We're going to mention it. You guys have a podcast that we're going to
yeah.
give a big shout out to. It's so it's about typology, the podcast and stuff.
It's about OP.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
OP,
So we'll definitely put the link down.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
check
We'll
it out.
talk more.
Everybody check it out. I got to remember that I'm not just talking to you here.
Yeah. Objectively typed is the name of it.
Oh, nice.
So her sleep is NIFI sleep. And so like she and I were kind of comparing notes on like the difference. And she was like, well, what's the purpose of going over? Because she saved your sensory. So she's like, you're just going over the sensory. And I was like, for me, that's huge because I naturally make the connections. That my N gets it. Like the why is not my problem. My problem is the what. Like what happened? How did I feel about it? And then and then the why will just fall out. Like that's not. Whereas with her, she has to think about like, why did I feel that way? Like I know this happened to me. Why? Like
very
it's very different. It's a very different flavor. Yeah.
So we just kind of touched on it. I'm really interested in your masculine SI demon. This is like, does it hit hard? Does it? Yeah.
Man, it's so interesting. So so like I said, like my other thing with Shannon was like, well, how did you guys come up with any savior? And they said that, or she told me that basically they could see the SI demon. They could see that I was a single observer, savior gather. So they had OE, but then they saw that the demon was SI. And so they just like back calculated. And because feminine NE is not the most like in your face function necessarily. So for me, like the way I experience my masculine SI is like, first of all, we all have all four human needs, right?
Right.
So even though I'm savior gather, I still have the human need for control. Like I still have that. And my human need for control is attached to the sensory specifically. I need my sensory controlled. I just don't take responsibility for it. That's what ends up happening.
Okay.
Because it's my demon. But because it's masculine, it's very like strong and not movable. So I kind of like having a masculine fourth function demon because it's meant that like for an ENFP, because I'm an ENFP when they're kind of known, a little stereotypically. So it's kind of flighty and like it's hard for them to do routines. It's been easy for me to do routines. And I really do think it's that masculine SI that's like sitting there kind of grounding me. It has a grounding effect on my life.
I was going to say, because like you have the strict morning routine and you had your journal and you were doing everything. Yeah. Like that's easy for you, or that's something you really have to struggle to maintain?
Well, it's what I've done. And I think this is where my NT saviors happen to help me too. Cause I've basically figured out a system that makes it easy, right? Is like what I've done is I've made it, like, I think you interviewed Kimberly. I think it was in her interview. Where she talked about the hangers, how she has like hangers. I was like, oh yes. Like I have that too. She's TINE.
Right.
And I was like, okay, I don't know if it's anything like we need these hangers or whatever, but that's what I've kind of done is like, I set up these routines that are general. They're not very prescribed, but so within that space, I give myself a lot of leeway.
Yeah. Jonathan Knott also said very, very similar things about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, yes, my routine says, and I mean, I literally have it like written down, it's like meditate, but I don't tell myself like you have to do an X type of meditation. Like I've been taught a whole bunch. I actually I used to practice Soto Zen, like so strict, like traditional meditation for a long time.
That's just so weird as like sleep lasts to
I know.
be into meditation. Wow.
Well, I actually think that the idea that meditation is sleep is not quite right,
Right.
personally.
Yeah. Well, there's different
Yeah,
kinds of meditation. I'm sure there is a
exactly.
kind of meditation that's sleep.
Yeah, but like the way
Right.
that I was taught meditation was almost like the opposite of sleep, which
Just
was
hyper
like,
awareness.
yeah, so it's
Ah,
all about like taking in it's almost like SE. It's almost like pure SE the way I
right.
was taught.
Like breathing now and paying
Hmm.
attention to your breath. And yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah, and like just watching your thoughts,
Right.
but not the whole
Being very
point is to
present.
not, yeah, be present and not sort of grab on to anything. And I
Right.
feel like with sleep, because you've got that introverted decider involved, you are putting, like, I'm thinking, well, in my particular case with SIFI, I need to know how I felt about a thing too, right? Whereas like
Right.
when I meditate, even if a feeling should come up or even if a thought should come up, I should just watch it and it should just, move on. Yeah.
Hmm.
So, yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so your consume region.
Mhm.
What kind of things do you prefer consuming, or how do you see? Yeah, like will you read? What's going on with that?
Yeah, I think it's because I'm audio, but
Right.
I love a good audiobook.
Oh, okay,
and I
nice.
and po- so podcasting was something I was really interested in. Like I love podcasts. So a lot of my consume is done via audio. Like
Okay.
I like even David Shannon's classes, I almost always listen to them. Like I almost never just sit and watch the videos. So it was funny when they would like sometimes they'd accidentally show like the type of the next person in the class.
Right.
Like they would like show it and people in the group would be like, oh, there they go, the subliminal messages. And I was always like, what? I totally missed that. And it's because I'm just listening. Like I'm never like looking at the screen.
Oh yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah, so I'm almost always listening to something, like whether it's an audiobook or a podcast or
Right.
a class. It's like I do a lot of like passive consume. And that's why I thought I was consumed last, because I was like, well, I don't ever just sit down and read a book.
Right.
But the thing that Shannon pointed out with me, and like you're kind of seeing it here, is like before I will blast, I feel like I'm obligated to consume.
Okay.
So like I've watched your previous interviews, right?
Oh,
Like I
okay.
want to learn, like, how does he do this? What kind of questions does he ask? So like I will
Right.
take it new before I blast, you
I
know?
got you. Yeah,
Yeah.
I also noticed you're like, okay, so first of all, the podcast is like your hobby, blasting.
Hmm.
It's really
Yes.
interesting that works out like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
We both have hobby blasts, which is funny. Yeah.
wow. Okay, and then also your blast doesn't seem like you're suffering from a loss of words at all. Like how do you
No.
no, so how is it a demon for you?
Yeah. The way I see it show up is a lot in that getting started thing. Like
Oh,
it's
okay, yeah, yeah.
it's less of the speaking, and
Right.
I think the way
And
I think the
planning?
way yeah, and to a certain extent planning. Yeah, I would
Right.
say that.
Right.
Because I think what I'm almost doing is bootstrapping my play in order to speak to people. I get a
Right.
lot from back and forth. Um,
Okay. Mostly
and so
improv. You don't know what you're gonna say. You just yeah,
yeah,
okay. All right.
yeah. So it's not pre-organized.
Right.
Yeah. So a lot of times I'm in like a play mode.
Gotcha.
And so the demon blast really shows up with like if there's something that needs to be done, it's usually like a big thing. Like we're thinking about moving out of this house, for example.
Right.
And like it's just such a big thing for me to even think about. Like
Right.
it is so hard for me to get started. And my
Right.
husband, who hasn't been officially typed, but like I think he's either demon blast or blast last, like,
Oh wow.
between the two of us, like it's very hard for us to like change. Like it's the whole like changing direction, kind of getting started on a new thing is hard.
Right.
Um yeah, that is hard.
What about like giving a lecture of like information that needs to be, I don't know, to workers or something? Yeah.
Yeah, that's hard too. Like I would much rather play than blast. Like even
Right.
yeah, so like at work, when I'm expected to put together a presentation and have pre-organized sensory information,
Right.
I like hate that. That's the other thing about my demon SI is like I live in a world, like my work is very SI, and like
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The standards and yeah,
yeah,
very
and
stickler. ISTJ like, yeah.
yes, lots of ISTJ. and ESTJs too.
Oh yeah.
And
Okay.
so it's like, I've got to get my sensory right, because I'll put something out there and people will start questioning me on the sensory, and it's so draining for me to go back, like, oh man, I got to go check my facts again. Like, oh no. So that's where
Wow.
it does show up there too at work, where it's like, shit, I know I need to like
I like how you use
organize
the word
this.
draining there. Yeah, because
It's draining.
yeah,
Yes. It's energy
demons are
draining.
supposed to be. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. The way I see it for demons is it's almost like handedness. It's like, you have your right hand, which is very natural, and you can use it, and those are like your saviors. Well, let's say I'm right-handed. I am right-handed.
Okay.
But so it's like I can write with my non-dominant hand. I can do it, but it's harder. I need to pay attention to what I'm doing. It doesn't
Right.
look that great. And maybe I'm
Yeah.
super proud if I manage to get my name right. Like that's how the demons feel to me.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's a good analogy
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome, Evelyn. Very, very amazing. Do you have something else that you want to add? Something that you want to touch on?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else, like in terms of my type and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah, like, the double masculine, it is interesting being double masculine, but being a double decider, because I have masculine TE. I
Right.
can be punchy. Like I can be punchy, obviously. Like I'm a punchy person. but I'm also kind of movable too. Like, I mean, I've gotten the feedback that I'm really good, with people and everything. And I think
Right.
having that double decideriness kind of helps. It kind of takes that masculine TE and like modulates it a little bit. Like I'm
Okay.
less sort of like, and also because I'm an EP, I really don't want to control the tribe, really.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, you
I
don't like to.
really don't. Yeah.
Right.
I'm really trying not to, but I
Will
do
you
have
will you punch
masculine.
back when someone else is trying to control?
Sometimes, but sometimes no. Like sometimes I'll let the other person control. It depends on the context.
Right.
But like this is actually a struggle for me at work, is learning how to sort of feel okay in those higher levels of leadership and not just deferring to the higher person
Right.
in control, because that is my natural tendency, is like, okay, well this person has it, like they're controlling the tribe, like why do I don't need to do it.
Oh,
So
okay.
I'll just let that happen, and I need to, if anything, sometimes I'm told I need to assert myself more, which seems strange to
Wow.
tell somebody with masculine TE,
Right.
but I
Well,
think
I'm
it's
trying to
because
think
I'm
of why that is, because like maybe you feel responsible that the tribe is being controlled, but you don't care by who. I don't know. I'm just guessing.
yeah. Or it's just that like I don't want to be the one to do it,
Right.
because again, that EP temperament says don't control me, bro.
Yeah,
So
yeah, exactly.
there's definitely the savior gatherer aspect of me that's like, I don't want to tell you what to do.
Right.
However, I can and will if asked to do so. It's like I do have masculine TE.
Were you like a terror for your teachers? Were you like very hyperactive or?
I was the kid that had they used to send home these little sheets that said like Evelyn is like talking in the back of the room kind of. So that was my promise. I was in the bag like talking to friends. Like
Yeah.
I feel like that's what the ENFPs are doing. Which it is funny because I've been never typed as an ENFP, never, until Dave and Shannon came back with it.
Wow.
But yet I can totally relate to that, like just being that kid in the back that's a class disruption.
Yeah. Really,
Yeah.
really cool talking to you, Evelyn. Thank you very much for coming out, and check out your podcast and Versivia. We're gonna have Versivia
Yeah.
later on. We scheduled a
Okay.
date. She's going to Europe, I guess, and
Oh yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
So we got a
It's a
date picked already, and we'll get her out, and for sure, man. And
yep.
I've got to give out like some outro now. So like and subscribe and all that. What did you say? Like scribe?
So like a scribe.
Yeah.
I think.
All right.
Yeah, and follow me on Twitter and all Instagram.
No,
and
I don't do that. But
okay. I was gonna say.
yeah, follow me.
Yeah.
Try to
Yeah.
find me anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's objectively typed is the
Okay.
name of the
Objective.
podcast.
Right, and I'll put the link in
Yeah.
the description.
Yeah.
Sure.
Put the link in the description. And this is what we talk about. So like if you
Nice.
and we did shout you out in one of our episodes. We were talking about, we were typing somebody actually. So we do
You do that.
typing. Well, we do typing of people and we do discussion episodes. So we kind of alternate.
Really
And
cool.
we happen to be typing somebody and mentioned one of your interviews with Amanda. And I was like, oh, we should put a shout out to Benjamin's like YouTube channel and everything.
Wow, I
So,
appreciate it. Thanks.
yeah, so
Yeah.
it might be like a couple months off, but yeah,
Cool.
because
Yeah. So I'll check it out.
we're running about like a month or two ahead. So, but
Awesome. Thank you very much,
yeah,
Evelyn. Have a good
yeah,
one.
this is great. Yeah,
Yeah.
cool.
Bye.